everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Jedi in Exile. I am the Norfolk Lion. I'm joined with It's Tats again, my merry partner in crime. How you doing, Matthew?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. How are you getting on?
Yeah, really excited actually after seeing some of the clips you've been sending me this week. Of course, so tonight's episode is going to be on the Galactic Star Cruiser, which is the Star Wars themed hotel that's opening up at Disney World. So really, really exciting. It's probably going to be really, really expensive, and we'll talk about that shortly. Yeah, but Matt, I mean, let's get straight into it. Talk to me a little bit about what Galactic Star Cruiser is.
Sure. So, Galactic Star Cruiser, for those that aren't up to speed with all of this stuff, is the newest offering at Disney. So, it basically is being passed off as an immersive experience. It's essentially a hotel stay. It's a hotel stay aboard the Star Cruiser Halcyon, which is part of Disney's new IP around they've tried to take the experience of a normal Disney cruise and move it into space. So for the 3 day experience, we'll talk about the actual length of it in a second, but for what's being termed a 3 day 2 night experience, you will essentially be transported to space and live on a star cruiser and experience a whole bunch of kind of Star Wars based fun and good times, food, etc. So we'll fire right in about some of the stuff that we already know and have known for a little while, and then I'll kind of expand on the fact that this week it's been open for preview to certain members of kind of that have been invited for Disney Press, who will link some of the
Yes,
videos.
well, we've not still got that. We didn't get the invite, which, but whatever.
Disney, we won't hold it against you. If you want to hit us up for the next one, we're available. But we'll link some of the videos that we've watched down below that we've kind of managed to get some of this information from, and some of our experiences from, and some of our favourites. If you guys want to go and check some of those out, they're a little bit longer than this video. So if you've got a little bit of extra time and you want to dive into a little bit more detail. But basically, the way it works is when you go, you'll get a room, and it's essentially what they've done is they've taken the idea of a normal cruise ship cabin, and futurized it and turned it into a Star Wars style cabin.
Yeah,
So
I've seen a photo where you kind of look out. It's like your viewport is looking out into space,
yeah,
which is just really cool. Like,
yeah. So not none of the rooms have actual windows. It's a fully immersive experience. So the windows are all digital screens that essentially give the impression that you're in space. And to try and add to that immersion, I've seen clips being released this week of people being able to press a button and actually close like a blast shutter on the outside of that to fully close it down like you're actually on a spaceship, which is pretty cool. So, standard room sleeps up to 4 occupants. That is a queen size bed and these kind of bunk beds. Some of the rooms have an option of pull out beds as well, but they're all very much in this style. And there's 3 different packages in regards to size and style of room. This is kind of your standard room. There's pictures circulating online and people that have done reviews of the higher priced rooms, and we'll come on to talk about pricing at the very end. So this is kind of where you'll be based. The entire ship is decked out in very similar designs. We won't steal other people's pictures and video clips. Like, go check them out. As I said, some of the videos in the description show how kind of over the top and in depth they've gone with some of these kind of
one,
interiors.
one thing to say, this has been a long time in the making. I mean, this isn't just something Disney thought of last year and thought, oh, let's build this. They've really taken their time with this and really thought about, well, for want of a better word, the customer experience
Yeah,
of
massively.
being fully immersive. And I think, although the price tag might be a bit heavy, it probably actually is gonna maybe be worth it.
So
Um, because of
so
all that you can do.
Yeah, and I guess the really key thing to talk about here throughout the entire video, and the thing to remember is that there is currently, like, this is being marketed that there is nothing in the world like this at the moment. It is not a hotel stay. It is a fully immersive kind of 3-day experience. So this is kind of what the room's like, and the whole ship's decked out in this way. One of the key things, and we'll talk about the immersion, is they've introduced all of these new characters. So it's kind of like a full like role playing experience. And Disney have come out and basically said it's up to you how involved in that you get. There is a set itinerary. So everybody boards kind of at the same sort of time, much like a Disney cruise, and everybody leaves at the same time. And there are set activities that go on. Some of them are mandatory, some of them are optional, and alongside that, you have the ability to kind of go off book a little bit, let's say. So I'll run through some of the bits in the itinerary. So I've got the itinerary up here on the other screen, just so that I don't.
I mean, there is quite a lot that you can do.
Yeah, so
It's really important to mention this. It's not just right. There's only 2 or 3 activities to do. You can. This is 3 days potentially of jam-packed back-to-back things you can do.
yeah, massively. So basically, it starts at lunchtime on day 1. You arrive at the terminal and you take your launch pod up to the Star Cruiser. There's then a few kind of like intro-y things, orientations, ship tours available, and the ability to kind of take in a few light refreshments and some galactic delicacies that Disney have come up with. There's things on here like sabacc lessons, so you can learn to play cards and get involved in that sort of stuff. There's live music, and obviously it's not just going to be your bog standard music. Like, it's a proper Star Wars inspired, alien band, which is pretty cool. And then what you get.
Hold on. While we're talking about alien band, do you think they'll have the man, the myth, the legend? You know who I'm going to say?
Max Rebo.
Max Rebo.
Do you know what? I think they've missed a massive trick if they don't.
Thoughts and prayers go out to Max Rebo.
Until we find out what's happened to him.
Potentially R.I.P. I mean,
who knows?
Potentially live and la vida loca.
If we find out that he is confirmed as performing, I will sell my firstborn child to go. I'm going on record. So there's this set itinerary, and within that, there's then these unexpected story moments. So there's one on day 1 and one on day 2, and essentially what these do is they vary per excursion, so that each experience is different. But it's also a chance to, if you really want to get involved in the role play, to choose whether or not you want to side with the Resistance or whether you want to side with the First Order, and really get involved in some activities that aren't scheduled and aren't kind of set in stone. One of the links down below, which I'll put in, is the All Is link, which actually demonstrates this really well and demonstrates the role-playing stuff really, really well. So definitely go and check that out. So do that. You get a chance to have a look at the bridge, and go and actually get on board and take over some of the controls and help out, much like you sometimes get to do as a kid on like a normal cruise ship, and you get the chance to go and like meet the captain and all of that kind of stuff. And then moving into day 2, so all of that's on day 1. All of that's an afternoon and an evening on day 1.
Starts from 1 p.m, doesn't it, and ends at around 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So 8 hours there, and it is just kind of back to back to back to back to back. There's a lot to do.
Yeah. And then into day 2, so all your meals and food and drink and everything is all included. There are some optional extras for things like cocktails and stuff like that, but standard food and drink all included, meals all included. So in the morning, you get included in this experience a shuttle to Batuu, which is the Star Wars part of Disney's Hollywood Studios, and you get a guaranteed ride on Rise of the Resistance. You get
Yeah, which
another.
can we say, seeing the videos online of the Rise of the Resistance ride, that looks incredible.
Yeah, so obviously
And
that's
again,
been a. Sorry, go on.
yeah, sorry, go on.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and part of that, I think, and you've kind of touched on it a few minutes ago, is that I think having the actors and the role play, so there's somebody who plays Kylo Ren who, goes between different bits. It's, you feel like you are part of it, because it's not just something on a screen, it is actually a real human being. Um, who is Kylo Ren. So again, just looks really, really cool.
Yeah, no. So you get to ride Rise of Resistance, and you get to ride Smuggler's Run. You then get lunch at Docky Bay 7, which is one of the quick service restaurants within Disney. And there's tons of videos about the Disney restaurants and differences between quick serve and sit down and all of that kind of stuff. Out on YouTube, go check it out. DFB, which is Disney Food Blog, definitely a great place to go check out some of that stuff. So you get all of that, and that takes you up to lunchtime, where you then get the transport back to the Halcyon. And again, all of this is run as you actually physically step into a shuttle. The shuttle takes you. And when I say shuttle, I don't mean like a shuttle bus, like an actual Star Wars space shuttle that takes you and back. So all fully immersive. And then when you get to the afternoon of day 2, this is when things get really, really interesting. Because
This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. One of the included activities in the afternoon is the lightsaber dojo. Now, there are clips of this online from the press events this week, and it looks incredible. Absolutely insane. So you get a lightsaber, you stand, you learn how to defend yourself. You mess about with these remotes that you can see in this kind of concept art, shooting from the wall. Absolutely insane. You then get things like a droid racing competition. There's a sabak tournament, so you can use your skills that you learnt the day before to actually put them into practice. Cocktails, etc. A proper dinner, and then another kind of story moment like the one on the previous day. And it all finishes up at about 11 p.m. So the day on day 2 runs from 8 a.m. depending on when you get up for breakfast, all the way through to 11 p.m. So that is like a full day.
It says there's a spectacular finale. I don't think we really know what that actually is, but when Disney used the word spectacular, you'd think it's going to be something really big, and that is an hour long. After the story moment, which you says put the heist plan into action, bring the stolen ship aboard, and watch out for the First Order.
Yeah, so this is all about
one of the role play things.
Yeah, definitely. So again, if you're really into that sort of thing, like this is definitely going to be right up your street.
If you're not into it, you're going to feel like a fool when you're there and everyone else is into it. So
get into it. So that finishes day 2, and then day 3 is breakfast, which is 8:30 to 9:30, and then 9:30 to 10 is the launch pod back to the terminal. So this is where I said it's being marketed as a 3-day, 2 nights. It's realistically
a day and a half.
It's a day and a half. I would give them the benefit of the doubt and say 2 days from like for the first day, if you want to call that a full day. But it is essentially a day and a half. So make of that what you will. But Disney have been really clever with this, and so to take that immersion to another level, you don't just want to be kicking about. If you're going to really get into this, you don't want to be cutting about in your jeans and your hoodie, or your tracksuit bottoms. So Disney have thought about this, and they have released the Chandrila Collection, which included in the Chandrila Collection is a limited edition lightsaber, and a bunch of clothes and accessories that are designed for you to be able to buy and wear during this experience, so that you feel like you're really part of it. So obviously all of the cast and the crew that are working there are dressed as part of it, and they're exactly how they are in the Disney parks, that once they're there and they're in character, they live and they breathe it, and anything you ask them is going to be responded to as that character. So this is to help you really feel like you fit in with that, and to kind of take that immersion to another level. So I kind of I get both angles here. I feel like this is really clever by Disney as a money-making ploy because people are going to buy the stuff.
Yeah.
But I also fully understand that if you're going and you're having this immersive experience, you want it to be as immersive as possible, and you don't necessarily want to go buy stuff from a random, like, where do you start looking for something like that?
Well, I think you need to go all in on this kind of thing, don't you? You can't go in kind of half-hearted. You've got to go fully in, and I mean the female outfits look very kind of Padme Amidala-esque, with like the hooded robes and stuff.
Yeah.
The blokes one, I mean, it's not really. You'd think it might be like Jedi robes, but of course, we're talking it's the time of the Resistance, so there's not going to be loads of Jedi. We know it's just Luke. So it's kind of just casual. It's not anything that, if you walked the streets of London, you wouldn't really get crazy looks.
No.
Put it that way.
No.
It's not over the top, like, oh my god, he's dressed like a Jedi.
Yeah, and that said, there are clips and videos out there of this week of people wearing normal clothes and still having an absolutely incredible time. So this definitely isn't a necessity, but it's something that if you really want to get involved and all of that kind of stuff, definitely is there as an opportunity to do. Now, we've chatted for a while, and we've covered off everything that's kind of included in this. The one thing that we haven't talked about is price. So it's a really awkward.
So we already know what it's gonna be.
So I'm gonna flash a graphic up in a second. But before I do, I think people need to understand. We've not experienced it. We don't know. I can't sit here and tell you whether or not it's worth it. We love Star Wars, and everything I've seen this week has made me want to go. And do everything that I can to save up the money so that I can go and experience it. But it is not cheap. So the kind of prices, and these are obviously, the pricing varies, right? It's Disney, so there's no fixed price. But this is indicative pricing based on a stay this year. You can see at the bottom of the graphic there, this is based on the stay towards the end of the year. So some of the graphic is cut off, so I'll apologise for people that are looking. But for the price per guest per night drops the more people you have, because obviously the cabin can sleep up to 4. That said, the price of the trip does go up, but the price per person technically comes down. So for a two guest kind of cabin and the 2 guests for the experience, it's $1,209 per guest per night, so $4,809 for the entire voyage. So that's for your, I'll humour them, 3-day experience and 2 nights, covering food, drink, the experience, and your trip to Batuu in the morning of day 2.
Yeah.
For 3 guests, it's about $400 per guest per night cheaper, but it's still a grand total of just under $5,300. And for 4 guests, it's just under $6,000 for the 3-day experience. So
6 bags of sand. That is a lot of dough, isn't it? But,
it is a lot.
I just need to channel like my 50-year-old mum, who would definitely put a post on Facebook and say good fun was had by all.
Yeah.
And I feel like good fun would be had by all if you went to this. And I think Disney they're obviously very clever in what they do, in that I could probably take my wife to this, and she's not really into Star Wars. She's seen the films but isn't into it, and I think she would still have a good time because of the experience. So I think that, because to pay that amount of money, you'd think maybe it's only hardcore Star Wars fans, but again, if you're going to Disney World, you know you're going to be spending a lot of money. So you know you're going to need this kind of money for things, don't you? You know it's not going to be a couple £100 a person.
To put this into perspective, we were supposed to go before the pandemic to Disney, and our trip for 10 days came out at a very similar price to this experience would be for the 3 days. So it is expensive, and it's much more expensive than just going to the parks, but you get so much more than just going to the parks.
It's also that thing at the moment, you can say you've been, because it's new, it's shiny, not everybody's going to be able to go. It's almost like that exclusivity with it, because there's not everyone's going to be able to afford $6,000. So what, like $5,000, in English money, so it's to say, yeah, I've been. It's like, well, to me, it's very, very exclusive. But time will tell whether it's worth it. Their pricing might come down. It might even go up, with the demand. So who knows? But forget about pricing. Pricing aside, it does look like an incredible experience.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's really anything much more to say. I think you've done a really good sum up there, Matt. So what I will say is like and subscribe. So like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We do reviews on the movies, the TV shows, watch our Book of Boba Fett reviews. We RIP Max Rebo, maybe. I have to keep getting that in there. But no, like and subscribe.
Comment down below if you guys are excited for this. If you're planning on going, we'd love to hear.
Please do get in touch.
Anything like that. And Disney, if by some miracle you're watching and you want to hit us up with a trip so that we can cover it, we would love to come and do it.
I don't think it's expensive at all. Please send us.
But other than that, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the continued support. Like Brian said, like and subscribe. Keep supporting, and we will keep creating. And we will see you guys all in the next one.
Yeah, cool.